Initially, I was told from the jump 3 to 4 weeks. I was told initially that the games that were most likely for him to come back were either the Vikings in week 4 or the Rams in week 5.
Adam Schefter on JGC is sponsored by Island Resort and Casino. Gaming, casual, and fine dining. 2 golf courses, a luxury spa, and live entertainment. Your total experience is at the Island.
We love chatting with our friend Adam Schefter. Good morning, Adam. How are you doing today?
What's going on, guys? How we doing?
Nothing at all. Nothing going on.
Adam,
nothing at all is going on.
Just out of curiosity, Adam, how many times have you been driving in your car and you've run out of gas?
That happened with Jen.
Dead. How did you know it was me?
It just, I don't know. I don't know. I could just guess that. Just the reporter's instincts, Jen. Right?
Yeah, I did yesterday. I was driving down to Bloomington to talk to 𝘾𝙃𝙀𝙒𝙔. The Kurt part of 𝘾𝙃𝙀𝙀 gets me. Anyway, and I ran out of gas on the way to Memorial Stadium. 6 miles away from the stadium, actually, ran out of gas.
Is that a rental car or is that your car?
It's a rental.
Does it matter?
Yeah, well, I think in a rental you might not know the car as well, so I think that actually could be an issue. But I think if you do it in your car, that's even more embarrassing to me.
How many times, if you had to put a number on it, let's say put an over/under number on how many times Jen has run out of gas. What number would you want to guess?
Well, clearly it's going to be the over. So, and clearly it just happened. Here, and clearly she's laughing. So I'm going to give you a number of well over a dozen.
Oh, it could be. I believe close. There are some I have forgotten, but I think yesterday I got up to 10.
There we go. I was right in the range.
How outrageous is that, Adam? How do you run out of gas 10 times?
I've had it happen to me one time in my entire life. When I was in a loaner car working at the Rocky Mountain News, I was driving from Wyoming back to Colorado, and I didn't know that I was driving a car that had a broken gas meter, and I got stuck on the side of the highway, and the highway patrol had to come and rescue me, and it was the middle of the night, and it was freezing, and it was a big deal, and I vowed to myself at that time, unlike Jen, I will never, ever run out of gas again in my life.
That's what most people do.
Did I forget to tell you guys that the gas gauge on the brand new 2024 Nissan Rogue was broken? Did I forget that detail of the story? Man, Adam, I want to talk to you about the trade deadline. We are 2 weeks away from the trade deadline. You're seeing lots of moves. Obviously, the Hopkins to the Chiefs is just the latest, but obviously Devontae Adams and Amari Cooper. Should the Packers make a move, are you hearing the Packers' names being mentioned in any poking around on players?
I've not heard specifically that that's happening. But, again, these things sometimes come out of nowhere, and they just happen. So I think also Green Bay recognizes it has a chance to win here and win, moving forward. So it's not going to do anything to compromise the long-term success of the franchise. But if there's a way to upgrade the roster, of course they're going to look into it. Like, that's what teams do at the deadline. That's what winning teams are going to do. I can't say that I've heard Green Bay specifically connected to any one player. But, yeah, that's always going to happen.
Adam, do you believe the Rams are going to trade Kupp, and where are some potential landing spots?
Well, the problem is, where do you want them to land right now? Kansas City was a decent spot to go, but they're going to trade for DeAndre Hopkins here. So how many other places are there that could take on Cooper's salary, that would be willing to compensate the Rams? I could think of, really, in my mind, one.
Where's that? Washington?
Tampa.
Yeah, with good Godwin out for the season, yeah.
Godwin out for the year. Evans out with a hamstring. Baker Mayfield, he played with in L.A. Liam Cohen, the former Rams coach. That makes sense to me. Now, I'm not telling you anything's going to happen. I don't think there's been any discussions. I think it's fresh, and I don't even know that Tampa would decide to go that route. But that's a place that would make sense to me. if something were to be explored.
With the trade deadline getting more and more, being used more and more, I should say, in the NFL, is it possible the Lions go after, a big name pass rusher? I keep seeing these rumors, Adam, but I mean, teams that have, really good pass rushers typically want to hold on to them. I understand why the Lions would be interested, but I'm just wondering, if the Packers are going to chase down the Lions, are they going to somehow end up with a premier pass rusher to try to replace Aiden Hutchinson?
I think the Lions are going to be in the market. And again, I got the guy there that makes so much sense that it's ridiculous. Jadeveon Smith, Cleveland, defensive end. Like a guy who is making the veteran minimum this year, wouldn't cost the Lions very much money. I'm making this up. Let's say you trade. DeAndre Hopkins just went for a conditional 4. I think that trade gets it done for Jadeveon Smith. Like if you're the Lions, why would you not trade a conditional 4 in your spot for Jadeveon Smith? Like, to me, that is such a no-brainer. Like that is the biggest layup of all. Like we talked about DeAndre Hopkins going to Kansas City. Jadeveon Smith to the Lions. Call my shot right now.
And according to reports, they have reached out to him. Now, obviously, nothing is set in stone. Nothing has been pen to paper. But according to reports, they have reached out about him as well. Go ahead, Shu.
Adam, what about Max Crosby, who said last week, I do not want to be part of a rebuild, and the Raiders are clearly in a rebuild. Any traction there? Or
no, I just
nothing?
I just don't. Now, listen, I want to be very clear that it's the NFL, and anything always can happen. So you're continually surprised. So could there be a team that all of a sudden puts together an offer at the last moment that convinces the Raiders to trade Max Crosby? Yeah, that could happen, but I'd be floored. Like, I don't dismiss anything, but he's the heart and soul of that team. He's Mark Davis's favorite guy. I don't care that they're rebuilding. I don't care that they need a quarterback. I don't care that they may make other. I don't see them trading Max Crosby by the deadline. I just don't see it. That's me.
Adam Schefter joining us here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. All right, Adam, the name that has been thrown out there on ESPN.com as they're trying to prep people for the trade deadline and moves that could happen, who could be leaving, who could be coming, is Jadeveon Clowney. Does Clowney still have enough left in the tank to make him a attractive option at the trade deadline for the Packers?
Okay, and you meant for the Packers. That's interesting. I could see that one. And, yeah, I think Jadeveon Clowney could help. Do they have a need at that spot?
The Packers?
Well, the pass rush has been woeful this year.
I didn't realize it was that bad. I thought it was okay, but you're telling me it's worse than I thought it was.
30th in pass rush win rate.
Woeful.
It's not good, Adam.
Especially on a team with championship aspirations.
They're out of gas, Adam, was basically what's wrong.
If we're reading the gas tank correctly, and we don't know if Jen is, it appears that they're out of gas.
How could that be? Like, the defense has played well. It's forced turnovers. They've got a lot of money and picks invested. Like, how is the defense? Why is that?
It's the back end is playing so well.
Wow.
The back end is really, and McKinney was a great addition to this team, and he's having a defensive player of the year type season to date right now. That's why I think.
Hafley was able to dial up pressure last week, and that kept C.J. Stroud uncomfortable in the pocket, but it didn't come from,
your traditional front four.
That's interesting. Well, I know that. I mean, I look at the defensive performance, and it's been impressive every week. The numbers are good, except there. So Jadeveon Clowney, that makes sense. How about Jadeveon Smith to Green Bay?
We've done that.
I think he might be good. I think he might be, thanks, but no thanks. I don't know if he wants to come back here. Yeah,
maybe we should give him a captain's patch.
Excellent poll by you, Joshy. Excellent poll.
The other thing that's up there potentially, Adam, is Preston Smith. And I've heard rumors about teams reaching out to the Packers about Preston Smith. He is a starter, but maybe they want to get, a little bit more run out of Lucas Van Ness. Do you see a situation where, much like last year when they traded a veteran cornerback away in Rasul Douglas, they end up trading away a veteran defensive end?
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. Again, you know, who do they play the next 2 weeks? The Packers' next 2 games are against who?
Jacksonville and Detroit.
Okay. I mean, they should beat Jacksonville. And if they could find a way to win Detroit, now you're heading into the trade deadline with a whole boatload of momentum. It's sort of like when the stock market's up, you feel better about buying things, right? So if you win the 2 games, if you find a way to beat the Lions in that second game, and we're counting on a Packers win this game, now you're feeling really emboldened at the deadline to make some moves. So I think that increases the chances if they somehow find a way to win these 2 games here. Preston Smith, again, I guess what I would say there, Gabe, is you're always going to do what's best for the team here. So if trading Preston Smith away is a solution, you view that as a viable alternative, of course you're going to look into it. I haven't heard that, but it's on my radar now that you've pointed it out.
Well, I wonder if there might be some PTSD, though, with the Rasul Douglas situation, because they traded him away, and then all he did was have success with the Buffalo Bills. And I think there were people who looked at that defensive back group and were like, we'd like to have Rasul. We don't have him, and he's doing good things over there, but maybe not. Maybe you can't go year to year. You can't let the previous year affect how you handle this year.
But to that point, Jen, to me, I want talented players, and I still think Preston Smith is a talented player, even if he hasn't played well. Like I'd want that guy around just in case. I would. Maybe there's some dynamic that I'm unaware of.
Are they potentially are they 100%, do you think, locked into Brandon McManus, or do you think they could also maybe even continue to look to improve in that spot and trade for a kicker?
Well, I think Brandon McManus is a really good kicker. I mean, you have to keep in mind here that Washington signed him as a priority free agent. And then the civil case came up, and that was when Washington, with its history, said we can't have any part of this. And they decided to cut ties with Brandon McManus. The league cleared him of those charges and said there will be no discipline from the National Football League. And that meant that one of the better kickers in the league was on the market. I don't think what he did on Sunday was accidental. Like he's an experienced, established kicker. To me, he's their kicker. Like that's the guy. I don't know who you're going to trade for that's going to be better than Brandon McManus. He already was a very good kicker. Kicking was not his issue. That wasn't the reason he wasn't on a roster at the start of the year. It was due to other circumstances. And now that the league has cleared him, I think that was a big pickup for the Green Bay Packers. Big.
Adam, the Packers are up to 5 in the ESPN power rankings after their win over the Texans. Are you
care about power? You care about power rankings?
Oh, we love power rankings.
Yeah,
more
we like them.
Yeah.
Oh, Chewy, why are you underselling your power rankings love?
Let me tell you something. There's nothing that generates more conversation that means less than power rankings.
Adam, it's almost, I know, you're right, but it's so bad, it's so good. Because all we do is rip them every week. Like this week, how do you have, Adam, explain this to me. How do you have Green Bay ahead of Minnesota?
Yeah. Green Bay ahead of Minnesota.
Minnesota trucked them 3 weeks ago. And then Minnesota's only loss is to Detroit in a game that came down to the end.
When you say how do you have Green Bay ahead of Minnesota? Who is you? Who is you?
Well, so
Your company.
Let me. I was about to say, let me break this down how Chewy's brain works, Adam, because you work at ESPN, and let's be honest, you're one of the faces of the NFL department at ESPN. When ESPN.com puts out their power rankings, Chewy is associating your face with those power rankings, even if you had nothing to do with them.
It's kind of guilt by association.
Yeah, Chewy, I'll be honest with you. There's a little factory in my house, a little back room that I put my daughter and her friends in. And I'm like, okay, guys, go in there and come up with the power rankings each week. Come out, give me a list of the teams and how they're ranked, and then we're going to debate it all across the country, including the Karma ESPN Milwaukee Radio with JGC and Chewy. That's what we're going to do here each week. So all these 16-year-old girls go into that back room, and they come out and they go, here, Dad, the Packers are ahead of the Vikings in our minds.
Make you feel better, too?
Yeah. Can't wait till next week.
What I was going to ask, Adam.
Let me tell you this. Hold on. I always say that fantasy football means nothing, and it means everything, and it means nothing. It means everything, and it means nothing. And I think that's such a good way to describe it because I care so much about it. I get so pissed off when my teams lose. I get happy when they win. And it means nothing in the grand scheme of things. And I know that, and yet I still care about it. And power rankings are a notch below that. Like, they mean nothing, and yet people care about them.
Are the Packers one of your top teams in the NFC?
Oh, Jay. My power rankings are in the top 3.
Perfect. That's all we needed. Adam, we really appreciate you joining our circus every week here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. We hope that you also enjoy your time with us.
Yeah, we appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and let's look forward to next week's Power Rankings.
Yeah!
Adam Schefter's visit with us here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, brought to you by the Island Resort and Casino. It's a premier resort destination, the largest north of Milwaukee, with everything you like to do in one awesome location. Visit islandresortandcasino.com and book your total experience.